Hello, folks. You know, as I smoke my doobie before I go pick up my daughter, let's talk about how on social media you really don't have um freedom of speech. It does not apply to social media. It doesn't. Freedom of speech doesn't apply to social media. Now, being that I was in the military, I learned early in the game, early in my life, earlier than most, that when anything requires a signature or virtual signature in this, for the subject at hand. But when anything requires you to say, give your signature in person, or for these applications to give your okay, and you read the disclaimer form and all of that. If you read that thing, and I'm wasn't always one to read it, but you read that thing, they tell you that if you don't adhere to our standards, and guidelines, we can take your shit away from you. Now, in the past 10 years, hasn't been too many people, in general saying, "Oh, my page got taken." You had people with big followings who had their pages taken because someone may have reported them or whatever, But nowadays, the average person is getting their fucking YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook or Twitter shut down for voicing their opinion on situations that are going on currently. I'm an American born citizen. I was born here, served in the military. I don't have the right to have an opinion. Now, I say that with not just a grain of salt, I say that with a pound of fucking salt. I don't have the right to, state my opinion, have a voice, to voice my voice. It's fucked up. But what are these guidelines and shit that people are being hit with saying, "Oh, you violated this, you violated that"? What are they? Well, in my opinion, they're being made up as we go along. Since when was it a strike on YouTube to speak against, to have an opinion that differs from the experts? Since when? Last time I checked, people have always had opinions on YouTube that differs from the so-called experts. But with the COVID situation going on, they don't want people, it seems to me that they don't want people to have a difference of opinion. Pardon me, I take that back. It's not that they don't want people to have a difference of opinion. They don't want people to speak that difference of opinion out loud. But why is that? Why would YouTube, for instance, take people videos down of their opinions that speaks different of the COVID situation in particular. Now, moving forward with this conversation, I have to tread very lightly. I don't want to get a strike. But in my opinion, you know, or I'm not even going to say my opinion, how I see it, they don't want people to speak their truths from what they see and how they view it because ultimately it goes against the plan. Well, what's the plan? I'll break it down for those who are not in the know. And my only concern with my opinions are towards people of my skin tone who also identify as such a person of my skin tone in the mental and in here. And you have to be born my skin tone too. You can't be no Rachel Dolezal. No. But it goes against the agenda. It goes against the plan. Now we know very well that this government, and I'm gonna put it lightly, does not like us. They don't. So the plan that they're trying to instill right now, the way I see it, is one of control. Now, I have to remember, this is a new channel. There are three ways a group of people, a group of 10 men can control 1 million people. You control the food, you control the way that a person's life day to day is to be lived, meaning you implement laws, you have control over the laws and policies and everything, and control of medical facilities. That's how 10 people can control a nation if they could control those three aspects. Because people, you take away the infrastructure of the country, motherfuckers don't know how to go hunt and gather food no more. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and speak like I know how to hunt and gather. I mean, I watch a couple YouTube videos, so it's not completely a foreign aspect to me. But people are scared of that. So because they've tried other ways to control us. They've tried controlling through the money aspect. That was segregation, you know. But what happened? We ended up saying, fuck y'all, we're gonna ball out with ourselves. And shit, we had Black Wall Street, but we see what happened with that. The other way, through the foods, well shit, that right there is a tricky one because people can own farms, people can own chicken, people can grow their own food, but they still have their hand in that because the soil that you use to grow your food, where's it coming from? It has to be FDA approved and shit like that, right? And the lastly is medical. Well, what's going on now? What's going on now has been, in my opinion, the way I see it, has been in the works for years. It's been in the works for years. It started with the Tuskegee. I'm not even gonna say started, pardon me, but that's the most important example. That's the most important data they got because they seen how wholesome black people are. They seen it. They seen that black people trust people who are doctors and shit like that without a second, doubt. Don't even challenge them. Most black people go to the doctor, don't challenge their doctor because that's the doctor. He knows better than me. Yeah. So they took the data from the Tuskegee experiments, seeing how it worked, seeing what happened. Everything mattered from the time the person walked into the door, how they acted, what did they say, what did they, everything. So now in 2022, pardon me, in 2020, bring up COVID. Well, COVID doesn't exist naturally in nature. So it was created, but then it was, somehow got released. Somehow, if there is even a thing going on, because I can't get under a microscope and look at people's blood and be able to tell what I'm looking at. I actually just met a person who can, like 2, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. So I actually know one person, not very well, but I know someone who can do it. And that woman said, it's a group of people, our color, who are on the same, they're not in my lane, but we on the same highway. You know what I mean? But shit, that's random. That's mad random. So the government looks at all of this shit and then they decide to do what they do. Because who's gonna challenge them? Who can challenge them? Now look at what's going on. They have effectively seized control over the population yet again. Yet again. But if I speak on this to a certain depth with certain detail, I will have my video flagged, taken down, and whatever social media fucking app or whatever I'm using, chances are my profile will be gone. It don't seem like shit is on the up and up. Seems more like a propaganda campaign more than anything. Because I just don't understand it. It was national news. It was on television, the radio, newspapers. Dr. Fauci emails and what he said about wearing the mask. And then we can see him get on the podium in a professional manner and say the fucking opposite. I can't speak on that. How about the fact that when this shit first kicked off with the shot and the video was rolling around social media, several people, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Dr. Fauci, and others said, get the shot, you won't have to worry about nothing. But that don't seem to be the case. Now, right there, I probably have said too fucking much. But I don't give a fuck. Because that's the truth. Now I can understand, just for argument's sake, I can understand them not wanting people to voice their opinions that are, because an opinion don't have to be rooted in nothing fucking truthful or educational. An opinion could be fucking stupid, you know, can be based off stupidity. So I understand that. But when I'm speaking actual factual fucking facts, why the fuck is my motherfucking page flagged or my post taken down? It's the fucking truth. You can Google this shit. But that goes back to those papers, or the electronic paper you hit when you say, okay, when you join Instagram or YouTube, their guidelines and policies. We know that the main ones: no hate speech, no threats of violence, no inciting riots, no purposely spreading false information just because it's whatever, no racial shit, no hate speech, shit like that. So we know the big ones, but seems to me, yet again, how these guidelines and policies work, they could just say, you know what, this goes against our guidelines and policies. It falls under this category. Because I had a situation on Twitter. This is how funny shit is. Twitter has something called Spaces. The name of one of these Twitter Spaces that I saw was something about um they H 4-letter with the E at the end, N words, and why they're stupid and shit like that. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to get the algorithm that, I'm not gonna say the sentence, but that shit was allowed to rock. I said them niggas is a waste of fucking life. In the tweet, they should have been shot in the toilet. I got a 12-hour ban because of the word shot, and because of the phrase shot in the toilet. They said it's a violence. I appealed it, gave my explanation like that's not violent. You guys are taking this out of context because of the word shot. Of course it didn't rock. Of course they, still took, dubbed my appeal. But that's a prime example. It's a prime example. That shit ain't go. That's not hate speech. Twitter, that was hate speech. That was a hate forum. But that's not how Twitter saw it. That's not how Twitter saw it. They saw it differently. This was about a week, 2 weeks ago. But it's just ridiculous because, again, I say freedom of speech in regards to black people with a pound of salt, not a pinch, tablespoon, with a pound of salt. Because in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution itself, if you call yourself intelligent, it's one or two ways. It's one or two reasons. Two reasons why you haven't come to this conclusion, in my opinion. One is you haven't really thought about it, and someone hasn't framed it for you. Or two, you just ain't thinking about it. There is no in between. So I'm gonna frame it. The Constitution was written in what? What year? 17 something, right? What was the state of people my color in 1776 in this country, in North America? How were we looked at? When did we so called become free men? Fuck that. When did they start considering us to be humans in their eyes? When were we seen as a person? Because shit, up until like the 19 somethings, we was still 3/5 of a fucking man. We weren't even a whole fucking man. We were 3/5. When did we stop being 3/5 and become a whole man? We are technically not covered under the Constitution nor the Bill of Rights. We're not. We aren't. How are we covered by this shit when when it was written we were considered less than dogs? Oh, but we were there. Yeah, we were there. But back then, and when the Constitution was written, drafted, when it was written, drafted, and finalized and signed, a white man could have raped a black woman in the front of the town, and nothing would have happened to that man. Nothing would have happened to him. He could have also shot that woman's husband to death and the children right before doing the assault. And then, finish the job with her like the rest of them. And nothing would have happened. Nothing. But me as a black man in that era, that time, let me had walked and made eye contact with a white man, I'd have been lynched. So you mean to tell me the guys who were living around that time included me in the fucking Constitution and the Bill of Rights? I'm supposed to believe that, knowing what mind frame they coming from. I'm supposed to wholeheartedly believe that. Now there goes the framework right there. Take what you will, take what you want, don't take what you want. But you can't argue with the basic fact that when this shit was written and signed, I wasn't even 3/5 of a man. I was less than that. I only became 3/5 of a man in the 1800s sometime, maybe early 1900s. So when you really think about it, it kind of makes sense. I mean, that's just to me. I am not the sharpest knife out the kitchen drawer, but I ain't no butter knife either. I'm not the Ginsu, the Kobayashi Ginsu. I'm not that. I'm not the shit that you do this, nigga. You cutting the fabric of time. I'm not that sharp. But you know, you gotta cut some chicken up, cut your steak. I don't fuck with no pork. Cut your beef ribs. We can get down. I'm sharp enough. You feel me? I'm sharp enough to cut bread without folding it up. So it's beyond me. You know, these are things people don't, I don't see people even talking about shit like that. The fact that, if you want to be technical, me as a black man, I'm not covered under the fucking Bill of Rights. But, but, no pun intended. I just thought about it, but no pun intended. But if I was to claim a certain sexual orientation, I have rights because Barack Obama signed that for that community, the LGBT. And I don't understand that. So because they choose to, be, in my opinion, because they choose to have sex with a person who has the same parts between their legs as them, they are awarded more rights than me. I don't get it. I don't get it. We started off with freedom of speech and all that, but we keep it rolling. I got to make up. I had over 50 videos on my old YouTube channel. I got to redo all of that information because I want it out here. But yeah, I'm supposed to believe this. Obama gave the, LGBTQ AI plus. He wrote something in for them, gave them rights. But me as a as a heterosexual black male, technically I'm not covered under nothing, under a goddamn thing, nothing. Had a black president. Oh, but we had a black president. You say so. But what did that black president do for black people? Not just a certain group of black people. What did he do for black people in general as a whole? Oh, he gave niggas Obamacare. There was already a system in place. Whether it's good or bad is neither here nor there. There was one in place, right? So, all right. What else? What did he do? HBCUs under Barack Obama struggled for 8 fucking years. No money. Niggas forget Black Lives Matter. The movement was started during Obama's second term as president. But, things niggas have to think about. You know what I mean? Because shit, the problem I see with reparations, that's all right, they signed reparations. Cool. They technically fucked everyone by having us call ourselves African American. Now, don't get me wrong, everything leads back to Africa if you're black. For example, all right, you have a guy who's Jamaican. All right, so clearly his people are from the island of Jamaica. But where's his people's from? Africa. Eventually, if you keep going back, my family, my generation, my history, my family may have came over here 300 generations ago. Boom. Your family may have came over here 50 generations ago. Some people family came over here 500 generations ago. You feel me? But I'm technically not using their jargon. I'm not an African American. I am an American. I am American. Oh, but you're black. No, nigga, I'm American. I don't give a like, if you want to be an asshole about it, I'm American. Why the fuck I gotta put my color in front of it? I'm American. I was born here. My mother was born here. My father was born here. My grandmother was born here. My grandfather was born here. My roots are solid. But we fucked out. They fucked us. African American. All right. Well, when reparations come around, if it happen to come around, all right. Well, you won't. They're gonna go. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. Niggas gonna be like, well, I don't get it, because you call yourself African American. Niggas constantly refer to themselves as African American. I ain't never been to Africa. Therefore, I'm not African American. My ancestry is African American at some point of time, but not with me. Only thing I know about Africa is what I see on TV and read in books and see on the internet. That's the only thing I know about Africa. All that other shit, all that other shit, I don't know what y'all talking about. Or I don't know what y'all talking about on that other shit. African American, nah. Technically, not really. But yes, I do understand. But that's how you got niggas with that if reparations do ever come around. But they won't come around. Because niggas don't understand. Reparations isn't that easy to deal with. Hold on, folks. Mhm. Yeah, no. But black folks, we got a lot of work cut out for us. That's what I was saying. Reparations ain't that easy. Let's say reparations, they do give them out. A lot of folks gonna be sad. Aside from the fact what I just mentioned, let's say they don't even do that. Say they don't even do that right there. Hold that against niggas, and they just give out the reparations. A lot of people gonna be mad. Well, why do I say a lot of people don't be mad? Because they gonna think like, boom. Example. Oh shit. Much easier to give an example. P. A person, when you hear reparations, when a person says reparations, a black person, in general, in general, oh wow, just about take the average black person out here. Reparations get talked, yeah, yeah, they with the shits. Now, black people ain't gonna take into account that, like, some of y'all, like, reparations is for people who family, yet again, whose family was here during a certain time period. So if your family moved here from Jamaica in the your peoples moved here from Jamaica in the 60s, 70s, reparations come around, y'all don't get it. Why? Why would y'all get reparations? What did your family suffer from in America? What did they suffer from when your family wasn't even over here? You feel me? Like this reparation shit is a different beast. It's not that simple. It's not that simple to just say, if the government does give it to us, which they won't yet again. But let's talk about why they won't actually give out reparations to black folks. Why won't they give them out? Because that would be admitting that they did wrong. That would be admitting they were wrong and they were fucked up about a lot of shit. That would be an admission of guilt. That would be an admission of guilt to black people specifically that we wronged y'all. And because we wronged y'all to such a fucking degree, we have to we have to give you guys money because what we did to you guys family years and years ago or whatever, you know, it was so fucked up that y'all niggas need this money because we fucked up that bad. If they give us reparations, that means this so-called fucking critical race theory shit. They have to leave that shit the fuck alone. That means they have to now teach also. They have to teach the history, the actual shit. Because we got reparations, which means they paid for it. That's what that would mean. That's why reparations will never come because it's an admission of fucking guilt. It says, yeah, we as the United States government did wrong to such a degree that we have to pay people who weren't even who weren't even alive when the shit was going down. None of us were, but we got to pay these people because again we fucked them over. That's what that would mean. Now you got some smart asses, and when I say smart asses in this context, I don't mean like like you're a jackass. You got some smart asses who would say, I'm a smart ass who would say, but the government paid um Jewish people reparations for the Holocaust for what another man did, and they had nothing to do with it. That's true. They also paid reparations to the Asian community for World War II. I believe it was. Yes, for World War II. Because during World War II, I believe if I have the one, because the niggas was enemies in World War I. So in World War II, fucking what was it? Yeah, they locked Asian community up, members of that community. They locked them up because of fear that they might be, plants. And what did they do when it was all said and done? Paid them money. Gave him reparation, said I'm sorry. Admission of guilt. Yet again. Admission of guilt. But they don't care about that because, in a sense, they don't care about admitting they was wrong with that. But they be damned if they admit they were wrong to black people of all people. I'm telling you. Yeah, that's an admission of guilt. They will never admit that they were fucking wrong when it comes to black people. It's like, oh yeah, critical race theory. They have to teach that shit. They have to teach that, yeah, motherfuckers had slaves and shit. And here goes another thing. Because they, talking about banning critical race theory or whatever. Now everybody has their own opinions on what critical race theory is. What the fuck? It's just trash. To me, from what it sounds like, critical race theory ain't nothing but the fucking truth of what happened in this country. That's all it is. Now they're saying they don't want to teach it anymore. It shouldn't be taught, because people are growing up. They don't want children growing up to hate themselves over things that they didn't do and shit like that, X, Y, Z, or, and all kinds of shit like that. But it's like, so who's being affected by this right now? Sounds like white kids, white children. You don't want white children to grow up thinking they're wrong, that they have done something wrong just for being white because of the history of the country. But for over 50 years, didn't think it was wrong to teach black kids they were slaves. Somebody stop me when I'm wrong. I ain't like nobody in here watching anyway. So can't nobody stop me when I'm wrong. But technically, that's funny how that works out because I'm not wrong. So ain't nobody gonna stop me because ain't nobody here. But, you know, wrong shit. What else can we talk about? How about got it?